Ladies and gentlemen, I've got something very important to show you today. After weeks of ranging sideways at major resistance, Bitcoin has finally formed a concrete, valid market pattern. And based on this market pattern that I'm going to show you in this video, that not many people have identified because it's kind of hidden actually, based on this market pattern, we're going to be able to make some big claims about Bitcoin, predictive claims, and also plans on when we should be buying and selling next, as well as taking long and short positions. So big things have been revealed, right, through this market pattern. I'm going to reveal them to you today. You can take notes and you can react accordingly. So tomorrow or the next day, or maybe the day after that, this pattern will break to the upside and we will be very well prepared. Guys, let's get into it. Alright guys, so let's jump straight into the video today. As I said in the introduction, this is going to be a direct video looking at some of the interesting scenarios we have playing out for Bitcoin in the future. The up scenario, the down scenario, the trigger levels for those scenarios. It's a direct look at the short and medium term and what is actually relevant for Bitcoin. If we break upwards, where will we go? If we break downwards, where will we go? Let's get into it. First things first, the macro direction, the long-term direction on a cyclical level is upwards for Bitcoin. Everything is still on track for the 4-year cycle. Everything is still on track for a 2025 October all-time high. And so from that perspective, I am bullish on Bitcoin. That is the only discussion we will have on long-term in this video. The long-term looks good. Everything I'm talking about next relates to medium-term and short-term. So where are we positioned on Bitcoin on a medium-term level? Well, if we look at the charts since the prior bull market in 2020, we can identify the two major levels that we are trending between right now. We have the first level stemming from around 30k up to around 32k. As you can see, I'll mark that in green. That is our macro support level, and it's very clearly the dividing line, the line in the sand between the bull market territory and the bear market territory, which I've just kind of circled. This was the bull market territory here. This was the bear market territory. We've obviously broken back above that line. It puts us back in a pretty solid positioning on a macro scale for Bitcoin. And so obviously anywhere on a price chart, you're ranging between support and resistance. So where is the actual resistance? We've got that macro support there at 30 to 32k. The macro resistance is actually up here, stemming from around 37.5k to a rough price region. It's hard to say exactly where it is, to be honest with you, but a rough price region of around 39k. That is our macro resistance. So 37.5 to 39k-ish in red, and then 30 to 30.2, to 30 to 32 in green. So that is our macro range, as you see between these two boxes here. And as of right now, there hasn't been too much ranging, right? There hasn't been too much bouncing between, but that very clearly is the case, given the importance of this zone and given the fact that the place that we've stopped during this massive move to the upside is here at 37.5k. So our macro resistance level is 37.5 to 39. Our macro support is 30 to 32. And so with that said, we can dive into the analysis on a more magnified level. We can look into it a bit more deeply on a shorter term perspective. And basically, our question, the big question we should be asking whenever Bitcoin is ranging anywhere, in this case between 37.5 and 30 to 32, would be, well, are we going to break the red box to the upside, or are we going to break the green box for downside, right? That's the big question. So we can look into that from a short-term perspective and try our best to come to an answer on that, or at least try our best to come to the optimal reaction to that occurring. So let's get into that. So there have been some major developments on the short and medium term charts, right? And by major developments, I mean for the first time here on Bitcoin, we've actually formed a structure, and this is amazing. So this is the 4-hourly chart here, looking at, the move all the way upwards from around here at 24k. We've basically seen no correction. The uptrend has sustained the entire time because we have not seen one singular lower low. We've consistently seen higher lows the entire time, hence maintaining the uptrend along with higher highs. The uptrend is still perfectly intact, and at the top of this uptrend, we have reached the red resistance zone we just talked about. Let's go take a look at that. That is between 37.5 and 39k. So at the doorstep of that resistance we sit, and at the doorstep of that resistance we have these kind of overwhelmingly, I guess you could say, well, it's been about nearly 3 weeks now of just rejection, and we've broken the trend of higher highs. We're actually seeing slightly lower highs. As you can see, the yellow line on the top of this formation here, apologies for that, the yellow line on the top of this structure here is actually descending. It's a descending yellow line, descending resistance line. So we are seeing gradual lower highs, nothing too significant at this point in time. We are still, however, seeing higher lows. So the uptrend is still intact. It is coming to a pause, it's coming to a brief stop, but it's still technically intact, so it's very hard to actually be bearish right now. It's difficult to be bearish when we haven't seen a breakdown of the upwards trend. It's also difficult to be bearish when we haven't seen the market pattern that is identifying this as the top of the recent move, hasn't even broken down yet. So I would argue that being bearish here is stupid. And this is something I've argued days and days on end. This is not a new opinion. I don't think you should be bearish here in the sense that I don't think you should be taking active short positions. Right? You wait for a downwards trend to occur before you're bearish. You wait for a market breakdown to occur before you're bearish. That's just simple logic. In the same way you do the same thing when you're bullish, right? I also don't think it's logical to be overly bullish here because we're just seeing a 53% move on Bitcoin to the upside without any significant correction, and we are now at the doorstep of a major macro resistance, right? So in the same sense that I don't think being bearish is logical, I also don't think being bullish is logical. And by bearish and bullish, I mean taking actions that would indicate bearish or bullishness, right? So spot buying, spot selling, shorting, long, I don't think that's the time to do this, to be honest with you, and that's just my personal opinion. What I will say is that there are clearly identifiable times in which this would be appropriate behavior. So for example, if Bitcoin was to come upwards here, and look, I've made my opinions extremely clear about short term in yesterday's video. You're probably aware of it by now. If you haven't watched yesterday's video, essentially my summary was this. There are more bearish indicators than bullish indicators, but like I said just then, that doesn't mean I'm sitting here activating short positions because I'm simply not comfortable doing so while the uptrend is still intact. Okay, so it's a nuanced position. It's a nuanced position to take because we're in a nuanced position in the market. It's really as simple as that. But what I will say is this. If we do go ahead on Bitcoin and break down from this ascending yellow line, right, which actually does have a reasonable probability of occurring, and we do have RSI price lines to match that occurring. So for example, we could break down from this RSI yellow line and break down from the market pattern itself at the same time. That would send us into a downtrend, and that would be a position, that would be a market position in which you'd be willing to take shorts at, right? If we break down from this yellow line, perhaps break the recent lower high, you'd be taking shorts there all the way down to a target such as 34K, and that would be the actual bearish trigger, right? 34K is the identifiable bottom of this entire range here, right? As you can see, the first real retest after a huge bullish impulse to the upside of any real support zone was here at 33.4K. All right, so if we were to go downwards and test that level and then break it to the downside, you'd probably be adding to the short positions you would originally have taken up here. Or if you're a conservative trader, perhaps you would only take your original short positions over here, right? So realistically, there's two levels of bearish triggers you're looking for here. The first level, and by level I mean for optimistic traders, for aggressive traders, conservative traders, just for market analysis in general, the first step to a bearish breakdown would be a break of this market pattern. Now, first and foremost, right, you might be thinking, oh, Wolf, this isn't a valid pattern because you've only got two retests of a line and this one just goes to nowhere. That's completely wrong, actually. It's actually a hidden market pattern. A lot of people don't know this exists. If you go to the 15-minute chart, for example, and you scroll backwards, you'll actually see that this market pattern is extremely valid because the original retest actually came from a small wick on the shorter term price charts. As you can see, I've just zoomed in, you can see it right there. So this market pattern is valid because we have three retests on either side of the market pattern. Extremely valid market pattern for that reason. And so if we do break down from this market pattern to the downside, you could expect bearish price action to develop. You could expect this to be a topping formation, a rounding top, and in the same stroke, and that would be the first level of confirmation of a downtrend, right? And then the second level would be breaking this red line here, and then if we break that red line, our next real support zone would be down here in the green box at 30 to 32K, and I do not think Bitcoin will go far below that. I've said over again, on many occasions, I'm looking into the short scenarios here, I've said over again on many occasions that if Bitcoin goes below 28.6K, all right, if Bitcoin goes below 28.6K, the green line on this screen here, the green horizontal line, we will have done a lot of damage to the market structure, and I don't think it's going to occur. If we drop below 28.6K, not only would we drop below this channel formation, we'd also drop below 30 to 32K, we'd also drop below things like bull market support band, Gaussian channel, 200-week SMA. The fact of the matter is, and this is something I've done in-depth videos on in the past, so of course I'm brushing over information, and I apologize for that, but the fact of the matter is I don't believe it's likely at all that Bitcoin would get as far as 28.6K, let alone drop below it. And if we do drop below it, obviously it's then implied that that's very, very bearish. So I really do not want to see Bitcoin go below 28.6K. I think that's the lowest Bitcoin can go while remaining healthy. If we go anything below that, I will be selling my spot positions on Bitcoin. I'll stand by that. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think we'll get that low. And what I'm trying to say to you is this. We are at resistance. We can expect, I think expect is the wrong word. Okay, I'm trying to be very cautious what I say here because I don't want people to misinterpret my actual views on Bitcoin. Expect is the wrong word. Everything I do in this market is reaction based. I try my best, wherever possible, to stay away from making predictions. Because predictions do not make you money. What makes you money is clicking the buy button or clicking the sell button. Everything I do in this market is reaction based. Until we see actual definitive signs of rejection, it's very hard for me to sit here and say that I'm bearish in the market. What I will say is that there are plenty of bearish indicators, for example, being at the top of this channel, for example, being at resistance here in this red box. And what I am saying is that if we were to see a rejection here, if we were to see a breakdown from this market structure, in which case the downtrend would be confirmed or actually flip bearish on the short term, if we were to see that, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It would only be the end of the world, quote unquote, if we were to go all the way down and break 28.6k. But this is kind of getting away from the video topic. I've made my my position very clear on how you would react if the market pattern was to break downwards, because this market pattern is very valid now. It's easily identifiable. It's what we should be watching on the Bitcoin chart. What about if we were to break upwards? What will occur if we break upwards? Well, if we break upwards from this market pattern, I would be hesitant to take any positions off the bat, given the fact that even in a break upwards of this market pattern, we would still be within the larger macro resistance. I would be hesitant. It wouldn't be a problem though. I don't think I'd need to take longs because as I do and as a lot of people do at this point, we already hold macro Bitcoin positions. So you'd be making money regardless without taking long positions. Perhaps you can make for some swing trades and altcoins instead. Perhaps, you know, Bitcoin's in a little bit of a particular situation here. But if we were to break upwards from this market pattern, I would propose that it's very, very likely we'd go all the way upwards and break the entire market structure itself. And I'd actually go as far to say that if Bitcoin was to break up from this market pattern, something like a retest of an actual higher level, right? Something like a 42k retest, which is the next major resistance above this red box, would become very possible on the table. Even something as high as 48k. And I know I might be getting ahead of myself when I say that, but if I look at the volume profile, right, and I look at where actually the critical levels are for Bitcoin, what you can see is that above this major red resistance box that we've got right now, the next real spike in the volume profile sits at around 47.5 to 48. So it really wouldn't surprise me, and this is probably a theory you've heard thrown around a lot by the bulls at the moment, it really wouldn't surprise me if Bitcoin does see, if, for example, we break this market pattern to the upside, we break this red box, we just skip right past 42 and go straight to 48. That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, to be honest with you. However, I do think it needs to be very carefully analyzed, because look, going straight to 48k right now, from a move to 24k would be a 100% gain on Bitcoin, would literally be a 2x in Bitcoin's price action without any major correction. There's some things on the Bitcoin price chart, it's possible, it's certainly possible, it's certainly on the table, but you have to be reasonable, right? And you have to be reasonable, you have to look at what part of the market cycle we're actually in. We're not in the bull market yet, okay? Everything that Bitcoin has done in 2023, everything it did in 2022, everything it's done every single year since 2012 has been on track with the cyclical theory. The cyclical theory says we're not in a bull market yet, okay? So we have to remain logical. Do we expect Bitcoin to 2x from September without any major correction at all in one move to the upside? Does that seem logical? It's like, yeah, it's possible, sure, and it wouldn't invalidate anything, sure, okay, I agree with that. But does it not seem like a little bit of a stretch? Does it not seem a little bit optimistic? Regardless, it's on the table, and regardless, based on TA, that is realistically the next logical move if we were to break this red zone. See, what you can see, right? I know in this video, I'm fence-sitting a little bit. I know it's frustrating as a viewer, but I assure you that as I've repeated over and over again for last week, I'm only taking a neutral position because I believe a neutral position is valid to take. All right, I'm not sitting here and I'm not trying to have it both ways. I'm taking a neutral position, and I'm taking that because I believe that there's three positions you can take in the market: bearish, bullish, or neutral. Right? And as of right now, I've been bullish this entire move upwards. I've been bullish since 24k. Right? And everyone who's watching my videos can attest to that. In fact, I've been bullish all the way down here since 18k, but realistically, in the shorter term, since 24k. Right? I'm not sitting here as a charlatan. Right now, after a 53% move to the upside, I would like to see some sort of validation of the actual trend continuing or getting rejected before I take a new position. When this market pattern breaks, when we see a lower low, when we see a higher high, that's when I'll sit here and say, okay, I'm bullish, I'm bearish again, here's my predictions. And you know, it's not just me sitting here in a neutral standpoint. All right, I think the community is as well. We have this poll released on the Woods Crypto YouTube channel community page with 1,000 votes. I asked, do you think Bitcoin will break 40k before the end of 2023? We're just on the doorstep of 40k. We're just on the cusp of it, and it's about 50-50, right? 54% of people think we will. 46% of people think we won't. And I'm assuming in saying we won't see 40k, they're essentially implying we'll see a correction of some sort. The market really, as a whole, you know, it's exhausted, and the TA represents that. You know, although the sentiment is bullish at the moment, that's because we've seen a 53% move with no substantial correction. Of course, it's going to be bullish. The fact of the matter is the market participants themselves are actually flipping neutral. There's only so high you can go without a correction. And that's not speaking to the weakness of Bitcoin on a long-term scale. The long-term scale is extremely bullish. It's just speaking to the medium and short term. What I'm willing to do right now is sit here and tell you, this is the data. We have this market pattern. It's a very important market pattern. It's sitting below a very major resistance zone. If it breaks down, then we can be confident in the bearish argument. If it breaks upwards, then we can be confident in what seems like an optimistic bullish argument, but certainly is valid. It's certainly on the table, right? That's what I'll say to you right now. I think, in conclusion, the evidence does lean bearish. There is more bearish evidence. There's more evidence suggesting a healthy medium-term correction than there is suggesting for a break upwards. I'm not ruling out the possibility of a break upwards. I just think it's hard to sit here and say that I'm bullish, even though we have an uptrend. It's hard to sit here and say that I'm bullish while we're at all this major macro resistance. It's just not something that I see as objectively honest. I need to strive to have a degree of intellectual honesty on this YouTube channel. I'm trying to remain true to the charts, and the charts tell me at this point that this is a rejection zone. The charts tell me at this point that if we were to see a trend reversal, we will be going downwards, and that's why I'm waiting for the trend reversal for confirmation of that bias, okay? So guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Keep an eye on this market pattern. We will be discussing it when it breaks to the upside. Hopefully that will come very shortly. It could come within the next couple of days. And when it breaks to the upside, we'll have definitive opinion to give you on Bitcoin. But this video is just highlighting what exactly will occur if we break upwards, if we break downwards, and what the optimal reaction would be. And I think that's very, very useful in itself. So keep an eye on this pattern. Again, we'll be discussing it when it breaks to the upside or the downside. Without further ado, we'll end the video there. Guys, we've got a few things to look at before we end the video. I appreciate it if you stick around. First and foremost, the VIP group on Telegram. In this VIP information and results group, which you can join before joining the actual group, this is a free to join group, by the way, you'll get all the information for VIP group, the pricing details, what you actually get, a description of that, 14-day free trial membership, steps to join up for the 14-day free trial, and then also a PDF of all the trading results. If you want to join VIP group on Telegram, if you want to make money on altcoins, you can do so. We've got an 80.5% win rate. We've got fully transparent results. You know exactly what you're getting before you pay or before you even do the free trial. So guys, do that if you're interested. Links are below. We've then got the Bingx exchange and the Bitget exchange. These are the two hand-picked exchanges for the Wolves of Crypto YouTube channel. Bingx is global non-KYC. You can sign up with just a password from anywhere in the world, and then an email address and a password, I should say. And then Bitget is a global KYC exchange. You can sign up from anywhere in the world except for the USA. So everyone except for the USA can sign up here with password, email address, and KYC, so identity verification. Depending on your geographical location, depending on what you want from an exchange, either of these exchanges could be beneficial to you. My referral link is in the description below with a 15% trading fee discount. Neither of these exchanges have ever been hacked. Both of these exchanges have extensive protection funds in case there is a hack, and both of these exchanges get my referral bonuses and discounts as well as extremely low trading fees. So choose one of them. The link is below. Support the channel, support yourself. And then finally, to end it up, we have the Become Trader 10-unit course, a course teaching people how to trade through 10 units in a university-style format with slideshows, videos, worksheets, etc. All the information is on the website below, as well as the email address for contact details. And you can throw us through an email with any questions. We'll answer them, or just requesting payment information. We'll send it right through. Guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in my next video. Cheers.